Hey, folks, this is Wildcat Wendell Cooley, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is Steve Bowtie Bryant here. Back in the 90s, I was a pro wrestling photographer for the South, and I released what might have been one of the original sets of indie trading cards. I ran across some of these original sets. They were up in Randall Fanning's attic all this time. PG-13 rookie card, Ricky Morton, George Weingroff as the Sheik, Chris Champion, Reno Riggins, Billy Montana, Gary Valiant, the Scorpion, the Medic, Rick Reynolds, Jeff Daniels, Mephisto and Dante, Ben Jordan, Steve Neely, Marcus Woodrow, Quinton Quarisma, Little Farmer John. If you'd like an opportunity to get these cards, contact me now. You can get them for only $49.99. Contact me at stevebowtiebryant at iCloud.com. Get your set now while supplies last.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
For those who don't know, now you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, and I'm here as always with my brother from the same father and mother, the Plastic Sheik. What's up, Sheik? How you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. And, you know, as has been the case a lot, I brought some charisma with me.
Oh, does that mean you brought Quinton Quarisma, the territory wrestling guru and co-host with the Mo-host? Is that who you mean?
That's who I mean.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Quinton. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good. How y'all guys doing?
Doing good, man.
Doing good, man.
You got any interesting stuff going on, anybody?
Nope.
It's my favorite time of the year with March Madness, so I've got that going on. But
yeah.
Other than that, just the usual.
How's your bracket looking?
Pretty good so far, but not a lot of upsets. So that lends itself to a good bracket. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, cool. Well, you know, obviously we do have a very special show today that, you know, is the Wildcat Wendell Cooley. Once again, I want to thank Shane Morton for booking that. You know, definitely want to say congrats to going into two recent Hall of Fames to Shane Morton. He went into the UCW Terry England Hall of Fame, and he went into the Tennessee Hall of Fame. So he really, you know, knocked it out in 2 weekends. He's in 2 Hall of Fames. So congrats, Shane. That's awesome.
Good stuff, brother. Congrats.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, he hooked us up with Wendell, man. He sent me a message about a month ago. He was like, hey, do you want to get Wendell Cooley? And I'm like, yeah, I do, actually. So thank you, Shane, for that. And I look forward to talking to Wendell here in just a second. But once again, we got to thank our buddy Tommy Heggie Dante for coming through with a great episode. We definitely appreciate the interview and the conversation and the great stories that he has. And he's just he's just been around so long. He has so many great stories, you know.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
All right. Y'all are talkative tonight, huh? All right. Yeah. Well, I've got nothing else. So you know what that means. That leads us to Quinton's #1 podcast segment in the world. Take it away, Quinton.
This week in wrestling history with Quinton Quarisma.
All right, guys. Today we're going to go to April 4th, 1978. We're going to Biloxi, Mississippi at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. It's for the Culkins promotion. This is after they split off from Watson McGurk. So this is when they was running Mississippi on their own. We'll go to the first match. We got Ann Casey versus Natasha. These are just the card out of the newspaper, so I don't have any results or nothing. Ann Casey, big name in the 60s and 70s, worked for 20 years, worked everywhere. I didn't know much on the Natasha. She worked a lot of places, and I looked at one of the places where she worked early in her career. Her name was Natasha, the Hatchet Lady.
Ouch.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. The Hatchet Lady. Wow.
Yeah.
Is it like a Lorena Bobbitt?
No. It's your obligatory one reference to Lorena Bobbitt ever, Jared. So go ahead.
All right, so we go to the second match. It's a tag team match. We have Jim Starr and Troy Graham versus Ricky Fields and Terry Latham. Jim Starr was one of the interns with Ken Ramey and Billy Garrett and Tom Andrews. And Troy Graham was one of the Bruise brothers for in Memphis. Also known as the Dream Machine. Also,
great promo, man. What a great promo he was.
What a talker, man. Oh, he was good.
Man. Tops for sure.
Then we got that other team with Ricky Fields and Terry Latham. They were Gulf Coast mainstays. Well, Ricky Fields, of course, his family owned the promotion down in Gulf Coast, and then like I said, Terry, he was a Gulf Coast mainstay, and he worked some of the tri-states, the Louisiana, before it was before Watts took it fully over. He did mostly the Mississippi and the Louisiana part of the tri-states territory. So he was mostly known for Gulf Coast. He was stay down there. Then the third match, we got the Scorpion versus Tom Jones. We talked about Tom Jones a few weeks back. Worked a lot in the Midwest. The Scorpion, he's world famous because I think he's worked every territory and worked for 60 years straight.
Yeah.
He's worked for every promotion there's ever been. That's been the Scorpion. So.
We don't mean Pete either, right? That's a totally different.
Totally different person. All right. So we go to the fourth match. This is a Mississippi heavyweight title match. We got the champion, Terry Gordy, versus Bill Ash. And everybody knows Terry Gordy. Hopefully you do. Bill Ash has worked for a lot of years, mostly in the southern territories. Him and his dad put a bunch of boots on a lot of the boys' feet. I know that. That's
okay.
The bootmakers, Bill Ash, out there in Paris, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And he actually had a couple runs in L.A. and San Francisco, which I didn't know that because he's mostly known for his work in the Southern Territory. So I learned something new on that. We go to the fifth match. We got the Great Mephisto and Tio and Tapu. They were the Samoans.
Yeah.
They're not often. There were. Let's see. One of them was the original one with Reno. That Reno one. So this is the second version of the original. I guess that's how you say it.
Okay.
So they wasn't often sick. Just people don't realize that. So
right.
Okay. And they took on Pretty Boy Collins, Phil Watson, and Tom Boogaloo Shaft.
But are these guys part of the bloodline? That's what we need to know.
Yeah. Are they official members?
No, these are like different Samoans. These weren't part of the bloodline. I don't know if they're even Samoan. I don't know. They had to be something because you look at them, you can tell they were.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if they were from that area. I don't know.
Polynesian descent.
Yeah. Okay, so Pretty Boy Collins was a guy named Ripper Collins, which his name has been mentioned on the show before with Jimmy Powell. Remember about the ring? The guy asked his dad about the ring post.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Ripper Collins. Yep, and he was a mainstay in Hawaii, L.A. L.A. basically the whole West Coast. But he had several runs, like in '77 with Goulas. Him and Luke Graham had a big run in '77 with Goulas. And the Phil Watson is Whipper Watson Jr., which in '78, Ripper Collins and Philper Watson had a good run with Goulas. I guess they went from Goulas. Whipper Watson and Ripper Collins went to Culkins. And then Tom Boogaloo Shaft, he was a big black guy. He worked a lot in Canada. I mean, he was a big dude. He reminded me of Sonny King a lot.
Oh, okay.
But is in shape as Sonny King.
Yeah.
So look him up. Yeah, he worked a long time. He actually worked for Dale Mann for a little bit too, which was kind of odd, I thought.
Yeah, for sure.
So that completes that card. All right, next thing we're going to is April 2nd, 1983. We're going to Murfreesboro, Tennessee at the Central Middle School. This is for the SIU Dr. Master Curtis's promotion. And if anybody knows me, I'm all about the Dr. Master Curtis because I researched the crap out of that thing. All right, so we got the first match is the Black Demon versus the Tennessee Hillbilly. Don't know Black Demon. Tennessee Hillbilly, actually, he also worked as a Tennessee Tiny. He was a real big guy. Did a hillbilly gimmick. He was like 400 or 500 pounds. Big old dude.
Okay.
The second match was the Canadian Blues versus Fireball Woody and Soul Man Robbie Taylor. Canadian Blues was a masked team. I think they only worked for Curtis. I don't think they worked for anybody else. I think Fireball Woody might have did a couple of jobs for Pothos, I think, maybe. For some reason, it's in my head that Fireball Woody actually did a couple of their TVs. Soul Man Robbie Taylor, don't have a clue. So, then we go to match number 3, Big Mike Andrews versus Robert Hardin. Only thing I know about Big Mike Andrews was Tommy Higgy said that he worked for Krispy Kreme and he'd bring them donuts.
Oh, man. What the hookup?
Exactly.
Wonder is that how he got his name?
And Robert Hardin ran Shelbyville in the early 90s. He ran it, and before Willie Paul Davis took over, and then before Glenn Mutz took over. Okay. So Robert Hardin was the one that was running the cab stand, got kicked out, and had to go run the bowling alley for a little while, and then it just didn't. He couldn't draw because everybody was still going to the cab stand. Gotcha. So that was Robert Hardin. Okay. All right, so then we go to the fourth match. We got the Medics versus Powerhouse Keith Graham and Jeff Wayne. Okay, the Medics, I'm thinking the Medics are Mike Porter and Jerry Ralph because they worked for Curtis as the interns. I'm thinking that I could be wrong, but it just seems kind of, that because that time period they worked for Curtis around that time period as the interns. So
gotcha. Okay.
Or so it could be the same people.
Yeah.
Powerhouse Keith Graham, don't know anything about. Now Jeff Wayne is the Texan. Jeff Wayne also worked Southern Kentucky, Middle Tennessee Indies as a guy named called Jailbird, and he's actually Jerry Ralph. The other guy that we're thinking it might be a Medic. They're brothers. That makes sure y'all think. That was them. Fifth match is the Bounty Hunter versus Ted LeDuc. Bounty Hunter was David Novak, one of the actual real bounty hunters for Goulas all those years. Yeah. So it was actually David Novak, and Ted LeDuc was a guy named Ted Howell from Murfreesboro. He wasn't from the lumberjack camps of Canada, so
he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't part of the LeDuc family. Got it. Okay. Yeah. All
right, we'll go to the sixth match. This is what I have on the poster. Third main event. So we're gonna have 3 main events tonight.
Hang on, right.
A 2 out of 3 falls tag team match. We got the Toledo Blondes against Billy Wade Travis and Chief Thundercloud with manager Master Curtis. Okay. The Toledo Blondes, I always liked that name. I think they were Dale Mann guys, and I think their names were the Malones. I think I could be wrong with that, but I remember them. But they worked a lot for Dale Mann. Okay. And everybody knows Billy Wade Travis. Billy Travis.
Yeah, worked, of course.
And I should see a lot of these guys were when Dale was working with Curtis there for a while before they had their falling out. So a lot of these were Curtis. Some of these were Dale's guys. And Chief Thundercloud, he worked for Goulas forever. Worked the Southern Territories. Chief Thundercloud. Everybody surely, if you know old Goulas, you remember Chief Thundercloud. He worked for Goulas forever. So then we go to the number 7 match. It's the second main event. It's the Kentucky Heavyweight Title match. We got champion Dale Mann versus Luscious Lanny. And Luscious Lanny has been brought up on this show several times. You know who Luscious Lanny was?
Oh, was it? Man, I'm not sure.
Cousin Junior.
I've heard of him.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So that was the 7th match. Then we go to the main event. And this is, I'm reading it exactly the way it was wrote out on the poster. Main event, 8-man elimination tag match. There's no partners. Any wrestler can tag any other wrestler. Last man left in the ring will be the winner and will receive $250.
Nice.
Wow. Okay.
That was all written on the poster. I was like, daggum. So,
and we don't know who won, right? We don't.
no, we don't know who won. So, and my guess is that nobody won $250 because nobody.
Right.
I'm from Curtis. From what I've heard, I mean, he tried, but he I don't think he made $50 on the card. So,
right.
Anyway,
I mean, whoever wins the entire budget for the payoffs, basically.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So this next one, we're going to go to April 6th. 1996, and this card was given to me by Kyle Scribner. Oh, Kyle the Butler.
Okay.
He gave me this one, and it's from Lewisburg, Tennessee, from the National Guard Armory. This is for the NWF. This is Willie Paul Davis promotion. And this card is hot shotted big time, so this must have been the big blow off card. So, and also this night was a special tribute to the legendary Lynn Rossi.
Nice.
So they had some kind of ceremony for Lynn Rossi that night. So, okay, so we go to the first match. Loser painted yellow match.
Oh, wow.
There's no results. These are all just the match listings. We have Damien versus Rick Posey.
Okay.
Everybody knows Damien.
Yep.
Rick Posey actually played for Murray State and actually played a little bit for the LA Raiders.
Oh.
Yeah, big old dude. He was a monster, man. Big old dude. He actually passed away now. He passed away in the early 2000s. Nice guy. Oh, he was such a nice guy. Big old dude.
Yeah.
So we go to the second match. It's a Mid-America title match. We got the champion Otto von Bronner versus Gary Valiant. And Otto von Bronner worked in McMinnville and Shelbyville also as Big John White. And I actually went to school with Big John White. His name was John Flynn. So it was one of my other schoolmates that I went to, and actually got in the wrestling business with us.
Yeah.
So then we go to the third match. We got back alley street brawl. Winner must rip off the clothes of the other team. So it's kind of like, like the old tuxedo matches they used to have.
That's what I was about to say.
It's like that. We got Shane and Steve Morton versus the Bruise Brothers, Chris Kern and Hot Rod Biggs.
Nice.
Okay. Then we go to
all former guests of that show. Those guys, every one of those guys in there.
Yeah.
Were you the manager?
This was before I got there.
Okay, gotcha.
I think I got there in either the last week of May or the first week of June when I got there.
Oh, okay.
So it was right before I got there.
Man.
Okay. So we got the fourth match. It's a U.S. Junior Heavyweight title match. And we're going to have a mystery ref. Okay. And also, and this is another gimmick match. We have the Masked Nightmare versus Mr. CK, Chris Kern.
Yeah. Okay.
If Chris Kern loses, he loses his hair.
Oh.
Yep.
Man.
So he's got a hair match and a street brawl, rip your clothes off match back to back.
He's busy that night.
Yep.
He could be naked and bald at the end of it.
By the time he goes home. The Masked Nightmare was Ted Allen.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Okay, then we go to the fifth match. It's a loser leave town match. Brass Knuckles title versus North American title. I told you they were gimmicked. These matches were gimmicked up, buddy.
For sure.
So this had to be a big blow off of all these angles. Had to be. Like a pay-per-view night or something.
Right.
All right, so we got the Brass Knuckles champion Cool Breeze versus the North American champion, the Giant Scorpion.
Nice.
Which Pete Cannon. Breeze's name's been brought up plenty of times on our podcast, so it's heard of him. All right, here we go. This is the main event. The sixth match of the night is a clothes hanger on a pole match. The Wild Boys the Wild Boys, Ben George, Steve Neely versus the new Mephisto and Dante.
Oh, man.
The new Mephisto was Arvo Hutto.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Wow.
And
All
I'm
right.
thinking the clothes hanger on the pole, they must have choked out Ben or Steve the week or two before with a clothes hanger.
Yeah, okay. That makes
must
sense.
have been the reason why for it, I'm assuming. Because Lord knows they did everything, them Wild Boys. They've hit them with everything. So I'm assuming that they got a coat hanger out one night and choked one of them out. That's what I'm assuming. So that week they put it on a pole.
Yeah, I can just imagine like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre where, in that movie where they burn it and they tap it on the skin and they eat a little of the skin.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's gross.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't do that. Poor Ben and Steve.
I don't know. I'm surprised Tommy didn't come up with some, because he came up with everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they did everything. So
Yeah, no doubt.
So that was that night. So that was, I put a little local flavor, and I said thanks again to Kyle the Butler, Kyle Scribner. Swiper, how do you say his last name? I don't know. I'm horrible at pronouncing people's names. So
That's good though, man. That was a good one, brother.
all right, and this has been
This Week in Wrestling History with Quinton Quarisma.
Oh man, excellent one. A little local flavor. You got us some history. You got us some friends. You got us everything,
Yes,
man. That was a good one, man. I appreciate that, and
no
definitely
problem, cram it all in there.
Yeah, man, you did good, brother. And we definitely appreciate this. And I think it sets us up perfectly for our guest today, the one and only Wildcat Wendell Cooley. If y'all are ready, I am. Let's come right back and talk to the Wildcat on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
This is Kroll, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling with Jimmy Street and Jared the Plastic Sheik. Be sure to like, subscribe, and view all of our USWO and Saw Wrestling content at Nashville Wrestling Network, exclusively on YouTube.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
All right, we are back with more from the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And y'all, I can't say how much I'm excited to say this guest. Now, I know we've already talked about him a little bit in the intro there. When I think about it, when you try to do a podcast called Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the people that you have to go to were the guys that were in pro wrestling. And I'm not talking about sports entertainment. I'm not talking about any of that. And nobody represents pro wrestling as well as the one and only Wildcat Wendell Cooley. Thank you for being on the show, brother. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for that introduction.
Hey, man, I try. Well, first of all, I got to give a shout out to my buddy Shane Morton. He hooked this up for us. He gave me your contact. We got in contact with you and Wendell. Greatly appreciate that, man. It's really, like I said, it's a real honor to have you on our show. To start off, we always go to my brother, the Plastic Sheik's favorite question. Take it away, Sheik.
All right, Wendell. So this is going to let people know, like, your influences in wrestling, who you like to watch, who you like to work with, whatever. If you had 4 or 5 names, like a Mount Rushmore of wrestling, who would those names be?
People that I would love to be in the ring with?
Well, it can be people you liked, that you actually like to be in the ring with, people you would have liked to.
Anybody.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me just do it this way. This is people I have actually been in the ring with and enjoyed every minute of it.
All right, that sounds great.
Foremost would be the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Many times. Harley Race. I wrestled him.
Oh, man.
I wrestled Jerry the King Lawler.
Ooh, awesome.
Dutch Mantel.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tom Prickett.
Ooh, man.
Hard to argue with that list.
Yeah, we told you to do yours, not the actual one.
Harley Race is a name that just doesn't get mentioned enough. It really doesn't. When I see
no, he was.
Go ahead.
I mean, I could have put a couple more in there. You know, Nick Bockwinkel. I've worked with him, who was freaking fabulous, and of course the late great Adrian Street.
Oh yeah,
he was probably the biggest influence on getting my career where it got to. With the program that he and I worked for, I don't had to have been 6-7 months.
Oh yeah,
and it really pushed me to the forefront, and forever grateful for that.
Yeah. We like to call Adrian, since my brother and I were both streets, we like to call him our cousin Adrian, you know, so. Yeah.
One awesome individual.
Such a classy individual, and such a tough, yet, I mean, just.
Yeah, literally. No,
yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, you know, we talk about your influences, your friends, your peers, the guys you looked up to, the guys you appreciated in the ring. But now we're going to spin it all the way back to you, Wendell. So to start off, I know you were born in Milton, Florida, but tell us a little bit about your younger days. Like, where'd you go to high school, that kind of stuff?
I still live in my hometown.
Awesome.
I went to Milton High School. Graduated in 1979.
Okay.
I thought that I wanted to just get a career in construction.
Mm-hmm.
So I became a plumber by trade.
Okay.
Got my license in 1983. Actually, my older brother ended up meeting Bad Boy Hines. You'll have to Google him if you don't recognize the name, but he was a very prominent figure in the business back in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah, Quinton knows about him.
Yes. He retired here in my hometown. My brother met him, and we were always big wrestling fanatics as kids. He asked him if he would be willing to work with us and help us train, and, you know, so... He did for a couple, 3 months. Then he was killed in a car accident right here in our hometown. So a close friend of his somehow heard about what we were doing, and we ended up getting in contact with him. Of course, he's the one that really made it happen. His name was Larry Pearson. He had some contacts. He had wrestled a little bit and been around it a lot, but he made the right contacts. That's how it all got started.
Nice.
1983.
That's awesome.
Hey, Wendell, I got a question. You said Bad Boy Hines. Okay, I remember there was there was Bad Boy Hines and Billy Boy Hines.
Yes.
Were they shoot brothers?
No, they were not.
Okay, I've always wondered that. Okay.
Yeah. That's all.
No, they were not shoot brothers. No.
Okay, cool.
I can't believe that.
Right here. He was killed right here in our hometown. Had a heart attack at the wheel.
Oh, man.
Ended up running into a tree and whatever, you know.
Yeah,
That was in probably late 82, early 83, somewhere around there.
And that sounds almost like what happened to Randy Savage, doesn't it? That's crazy.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, tell us about your first match in wrestling.
Very first match I ever had was on Dothan TV. I want to say February or March of 1980. Was with Bill Ash. Everybody knows who Bill Ash is, or should know, because they're most famous for building boots stuff for wrestlers.
Yeah.
Dad mainly, of course, but Bill helped a little bit until he got into the business. But that was my very first match. I knew. Because when we were training, my brother and I, we had built a ring in my cousin's backyard. We were in that ring 5, 6, 7 days a week, trying to learn the craft. We had 3 different people show up over there that were actually working the territory at the time. One of them was Bill Ash. The other one was Norman Frederick Charles III.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of who the third one was. I want to say it was a guy that was not really prominent, but doing a lot of spot shows and enhancement talent kind of thing, was Mike Diamond. Anyhow, so when we got to, I first got my first shot, man, I was nervous as shit. I'm not gonna lie about it. I've been training for 7 or 8 months, but I was just so damn nervous, you know. Bill was just a total pleasure to get in the ring with, man. He was so happy after we were done because we were trained to know what we were doing, listen, be respectful, of course. We pulled it off. It was, of course, TV, so it didn't, you know, I didn't get to go very long, probably 6-8 minutes maybe, but yeah, it was a phenomenal experience, and once that happened, I knew that was going to be my career. You know, bottom talent, middle talent, top talent, I really didn't care at that point. I just knew that's what I was going to do, make a living.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
That's awesome. Yeah.
The other night, I actually watched a match on YouTube with you against Rip Rogers, and I think it was around the March. How many matches was that when you had that match with him on Continental TV?
You know, daggone, I couldn't tell you then because I started in '83. We were doing TV in the studio at WTVY.
That's what it was. It was in the studio. It was in the studio. It was March of '83.
Okay, so I probably hadn't had, I don't know, 3 or 4 matches, maybe a half a dozen.
Wow.
Yeah, and
that match was good.
He was pretty smooth, man, but he was, golly, he just did not like you to be snug in any shape, form, or fashion, you know, and he had been doing it for, I don't know how long, a few years before I did. And of course, being nervous, you're going to be a little snug and a little stiff, you know.
Yeah.
He was a great worker. He just didn't like you to be snug in any shape, form, or fashion.
I just remember I've watched that match the other night. I tried to ask you about that. All right. So you start out there at Continental. Or was it still Southeastern? I think it was Southeastern then, wasn't it? I don't think it changed Continental yet.
Southeastern when I first started. It was Southeastern.
Okay. Okay. So when you got there, what was it like the first time you met Ron Fuller?
I had seen him a time or two around here and there. When I first got started, I was just, you know, underneath enhancement talent. Bob Armstrong was booking, and I had worked, I don't know, probably a half a dozen times. And Ron Fuller told my agent, my trainer, get him out of here and go get him some experience. We don't want to keep beating him up because there is a potential he could do something. So I left in '84. Actually, late '83, I went up to Minnesota. Christopher Love, I don't know if y'all remember him. He was a manager.
Burt Prentice. Yeah,
Burt Prentice, yes. He had ran into a bunch of investors. They wanted to start, because Vern's territory was on the collapse. They were trying to start a whole new territory up there. So he called me and flew me up there, and I stayed up there for about 4 or 5 months. I met Scott Casey, Cowboy Scott Casey, who was working in Southwest at the time. Bruiser Bob Sweetan, he was working at Southwest at the time. And I got to ask him, you know, questions and what have you. And Scott Casey and I got to be pretty close. And he told me, so when I get back to Southwest, he said, let me talk to Jonathan Boyd, who was doing the booking there at the time. He said, I'll see if I can get you some help. I said, well, please, anything you could do, man. I need some experience. So I left there, come back home for a couple of weeks, and got the phone call from Jonathan Boyd. Said he had a spot for me in Southwest. Well, I had changed my name to Rick Casey at that time because I had talked with Scott and asked him if it would be okay, thinking it might give me a little shot in the arm, being relative to him.
Yeah.
Especially going to Texas. So he said, anything you want to do, buddy, you go ahead and do it. If it'll help, do it. So I did, and I got the phone call. Had no idea that they were going to bring me in and put me on the top. The very first week I was there, they teamed me up with a guy named Jerry Oski, and we wrestled Danny Greer and Eric Embry, who were the Fabulous Blondes.
Yeah.
They were the champions. They put the belts on us the very first week that we were there.
Yeah. Why was y'all's run so short with that title? Was it because of your time that you had been there? Because they kind of took it off of you. Oh, okay.
Well, they did, but the territory was so bad. Jerry left after about a month or so.
Oh, okay.
They put the belts on us. Jerry decided he wanted bigger and better things, and he left and left me as a single. So I stayed there probably another month or so, and my agent called me one afternoon and said that they were looking for some talent to go to work for Bill Watts. So I said, well, count me in because it's terrible here. We're driving 1,500 miles a week for $300,
Yeah.
Everybody had left and went to work for up in North Carolina.
Crockett.
Yeah, everybody had left and went to work for Crockett. That was somebody there.
Yeah.
So all we had was greenhorns. I think the most experienced, because Scott even left and went to work for Dallas, for John Harris.
Right.
And the most seasoned person we had there was Al Madrill.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were struggling to make any money. So I got a phone call one afternoon, asked me I wanted the job. Bill Dundee was booking, as a matter of fact, for Bill Watts at that time. This was in 84, early 85. I went to work for Bill Watts then.
So in your first TV match for Watts, you worked one of your Mount Rushmore you had back there, Ric Flair.
Yes. Yeah. I did. I did a job for him. I had no problem because, at that stage, I actually thought after they had pushed me the way they did at Southwest that when I went to work for Watts, that they actually were going to give me some opportunity. But when and I was all business. I really didn't give a crap. The money was good. I was doing what I wanted to do for a living. But when you bring in the champion, you got to put him with somebody that can do a little something so it's not just a total freaking squash.
Yeah, right.
You got to give him somebody that looks the part, somebody that can work a little bit, and just lo and behold, that I was the one that that they chose to do it with.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I have no regrets about that, man.
No.
But he gave you a lot, though, in that match, right? I mean.
Well, yeah, but everybody that ever gets a break in this business, unless they're just the guy and knows the person, they're going to do some of that stuff. And it's okay because that's where you learn.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have no regrets about any jobs I've ever done. Anything out there on the internet showing me doing the job, bro, it just tells you that I'm all business.
Yeah, some of your greatest guys, some of the greatest workers of all time, Bobby Eaton, George Sal. I mean, so many great workers that they've made their living on underneath, I know Bobby had his run on top, but there near the end, I mean, it was, survive and eat, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Wendell, on June 1st, 1985, you worked Eddie Gilbert at the New Orleans Superdome. How was it working in that big building on that big old show? And also, did you get to meet Muhammad Ali that night?
I sat right next to Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
And if I had it all to do over again, I would have gotten a picture, gotten his autograph, and the whole deal, but me being the young, dumb, stupid bastard I was thinking I was the star, and why am I going to ask for autographs from somebody else?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he was coming in to help our show.
Right.
But, yeah, that's one little thing that I wish I'd have done different. But as far as working with Eddie was a great worker. He had a great mind for the business. However, and I hate to talk about people who were past and gone, but we had a acquired heat between the two of us. I don't know where it came from, how it came about, but we probably could have had better matches without that heat, you know. Maybe because he had been in the business much longer, I was getting more of a push than he, or I really don't know. But
yeah,
he had a great mind, great to work with. It just, I don't know, felt like they were, you know, opportunities there that we just didn't take advantage of.
Yeah, that stinks. Yeah.
But as far as the crowd, man, that was freaking phenomenal. Superdome full of freaking people, you know.
I bet it was. Wow.
Golly. Look, Ma.
I'm going to tell you, I worked a lot of independent shows early on. There wouldn't be 40 people in the whole place.
Right.
And when you got 40,000, you know, that's pretty freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
On June 7th, you worked Houston, Texas. Did you meet Paul Bosch? And if you did, what did you think about meeting that legendary Paul Bosch?
Paul Bosch was a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Very nice, very cordial, very very complimentary. So, yeah, he was one of the best.
I was a good payoff guy.
Very good.
That's awesome.
Good for me. Now, I don't know about other people, but Houston, we look forward to going to Houston because it was always going to be a good payoff.
Yeah.
Because he worked his towns, you know, he promoted them.
Right.
We always do very well there.
That's the trick, isn't it? As a great promoter, you got to work the towns, right? That's just the way it's got to be. Yeah.
Yes, you do.
And you're only confirming that. It's not like I know that for myself, but I've heard that from many different legendary wrestlers, such as yourself, and they all say the same thing. You've got to work the towns. So, you know, it's a no-brainer thing. So I want to go into this because honestly, this guy's one of my favorite wrestlers, mainly, well, partially because of his manager, but I always liked him. But in August 28th of 1985, you and Al Perez beat Steve Williams and Bob Sweetan. Whose idea was it to put you and Al together?
Actually, I want to say, I don't know 100% fact.
Uh-huh.
I want to say that it was Skandar Akbar and Jake Roberts.
Okay. That's awesome.
Skandar Akbar was the person who gave me the nickname Wildcat.
Very cool.
Yeah. And Jake and I got along very well. We had worked together 2 or 3 times. And it was just a mutual respect for each other's. Well, he just knew that my hard work ethic, I stayed in the gym, I looked the part, I could work.
Yeah.
You know, I knew my craft, and we got along very well. Not to mention I rode a lot of miles with him and his dad, Grizz.
Oh, man.
You know, getting to and from.
Yeah.
Because we made a lot of miles there, but I think that those two were the biggest people that were responsible for putting Al and I together.
Yeah.
People like big guys, okay? They had the Rock and Roll Express in there before us.
Right.
They weren't that big.
Right.
Okay. Then they had the Fantastics who were not that big.
Right.
Bill was just into bigger guys, and he was looking for a team. So, you know, Al and I were there. We were both in the 240 range, and we stayed in the gym and looked the part.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it ended up.
Man, I'd like to hung out with y'all one weekend, but your wife's there, so I'm not going to go into any of that further. Did you all know that they were going to put the belts on you all right away?
Had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. It was all new to us.
Yeah.
When they came to us and told us that they were going to put us together and put the belts on us, because we were kind of doing our own thing, you know. My thing was I enjoyed being a singles more so than a tag.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, only because, to be honest with you, I was a lazy bastard. I didn't want to think a lot. I just wanted to react. React and do my thing.
Yeah.
But when you're in a tag situation, you got to think for 4 people.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It's a little more difficult.
Yeah.
When you're having to work, now you got to think more, keep things flowing better. And, you know, working that apron, oh my God. Man, I would be so blowed up trying to work the apron because he done most of the selling and I would do the comeback.
Right.
I would be blowed up the time we got a chance to get in there, but
don't hot tag me yet.
It really was. It was freaking awesome, and Al was such a huge piece of talent, man. Just, you know, he had some great charisma. I don't know why he never went any further as a single.
Yeah.
But,
I think they said, I mean, from what I understand, he had a pretty hot temper. I've heard that he didn't put up with stuff very well. Yeah.
Well, now he could click off pretty quick, and we all could.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. Of course. Well, so on November 11th of 85, y'all dropped the belts to here. We're talking about Hot Stuff again, Eddie Gilbert and the Nightmare Randy Colley. It seemed kind of odd to drop the belts to that team. Was that just something? Why would they do that, you think?
Well, honestly, I don't remember that.
Okay.
Okay, but here's the reason why. Because I was working, they split us up one night in Baton Rouge. Don't remember the exact date. I don't remember dropping the belt.
Uh-huh.
And here's why. They gave them the belt and probably said we dropped them. I was working in a match with Jim Duggan, he and I, against Kamala and Ray Candy, who was doing the Zambui Express.
Right.
Okay, and Skandar was the manager, of course. We were working in Baton Rouge, and I was going to get a little color and, you know, do all the selling and all the bull and give Jim the big, you know, the big comeback and whatever. So during that process of trying to get my blade put away, I cut myself really, really bad between my middle finger and my ring finger.
Ooh.
I mean, like a major freaking gash.
Oh, man.
So when the match was over, we got out of the ring and we're walking back to the dressing room. When I get back through the doors there at the, what's that place called at the Baton Rouge there? That big, huge Metroplex.
Okay.
Something like that. I noticed there was a ton of blood puddling on the floor.
Oh, man.
And I knew I had cut my head, but I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Eventually, I looked down, and I seen this major gash between my fingers.
Oh.
Immediately, I went to Chris Smith, who was the agent, and told him about it. And he looked at it and said, "You need to get to the hospital and get that took care of." He said, "Send the bill to Bill." Okay. So I go to the emergency room, and I get sewed up, took care of, and sent the bill to Bill Watts. Well, the following Tuesday at TV, we did see on Tuesdays. We have to be there early to do interviews and stuff. So when I get there, we get our paychecks. He deducted the doctor bill out of my paycheck.
Oh.
Yeah, so you know what? This shit ain't going to fly.
Right.
I said, I got hurt working for you.
Yeah.
You know, this is yours. This is kind of like a workman's comp claim.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Here's your damn belt. I'm done. I'm finished. It's over with. I walked out at that point right there.
Yeah.
So I don't never remember dropping the belts.
Gotcha. Okay.
They probably put it on Eddie and the Nightmare so they could put it on another, you know, team that they formed or whatever. I don't know who came in after that, but I left there. I went back home to Baton Rouge, and by the time I got home, which is from Shreveport to Baton Rouge, probably because we were driving double nickels back then, 55, you know.
Yeah.
It was probably 3 hours at best. My wife at the time, she said, Bill Dundee called you, wants you to call him.
Yeah.
Bill had already left and went back to Memphis. He had already heard that I quit and left and already wanted to hire me in Memphis.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
So I do not remember dropping the belts to Eddie and the Nightmare.
Okay, cool.
All right. When I was looking that stuff up and it said that you dropped it to Nightmare and Eddie Gilbert, there was actually, I found 2 other towns that you were advertised in after that, the date that they said that you dropped the belts. It was Alexandria, Louisiana, and Biloxi, Mississippi. So I'm guessing that you didn't make those towns since you quit right after that happened. So I'm assuming you didn't make those towns then, did you?
Well, now I worked at Alexandria a lot. I worked Biloxi once and maybe twice. I don't remember the time I was there. I was only there about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact time frame, but I know it was like around Thanksgiving time frame when I went to work in Memphis, which was a couple weeks after I quit. So it had to be late fall.
Yeah. Okay.
So if it was prior to that, I couldn't tell you exactly because I know that that's how I left the territory. Was I said, you know what, shit on this, because Bill wasn't going to reimburse me and none of that shit. So I said, you know what, I'm done with it. I left the belt there and I told Al, I said, I hate it, buddy, but I ain't dealing with it, you know.
Yeah. Well, both of those dates were after that they said that y'all dropped the belt. So I'm assuming that those were already booked and advertised, but you were already gone.
I'm sure they were. Yeah, they probably were already. Yeah, but I didn't make them.
All right. So you talking about you went to work. You went to Memphis, and so you were using Wildcat Wendell Cooley for Watts, but when you went to Memphis, you went back to the Rick Casey name. Why'd you go back to using the Rick Casey name?
You know, I don't know how all that or exactly when, but Bill Dundee told me, he said, you have got to change your name if you're going to build a career. Don't build it on somebody that you're not. I never thought that Wendell Cooley would have a big ring to it, you know? I just didn't. Obviously it did in the very end, but Bill came to me and said, we need to do a little interview and, you know, get things set straight, change your name back to your real name and blah, 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 whatever. But I don't know. I thought Rick Casey sounded better for whatever reason. I mean, I know I tried to do it originally to get a little boost from Scott's background.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just thought it had a better ring to it than Wendell Cooley. But Skandar gave me the nickname Wildcat.
And that really set off the Wildcat Wendell Cooley name for sure. Like that is your WWC.
Yeah, that clicked.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a brief time when I was there. I was having some personal issues and things going on when I was in Memphis the first time. I worked a long program with Dutch Santel.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up in a tag situation, and Bill Dundee blinded me in my right eye, Memphis, just because he didn't want to listen to me. We were doing a big tag match, so he said, I'm going to, I think it was Buddy Landell. And he and Buddy were going to attack me, and damn if I remember who my partner was at the time. They were going to attack us coming out of the door, coming down the aisle. They were going to throw shit in our face and jump us and whatever. He threw alcohol.
Oh, my gosh.
Golly.
Wow.
Pure rubbing alcohol. And I was immediately freaking blinded in the right eye.
Yeah.
So we get to the ring, man. I said, we got to make this quick. I got to go. This shit is killing me. We got to go. So we made a real quick deal of it.
Yeah.
I got out. They took me to the hospital. And it took me almost a month before I could actually see out of it.
Man.
It sparked my cornea out of my eye.
Oh, my
Golly.
Yeah, I asked him up front. I said, just throw water, anything to distract us. He said, well, what if they smell it? I don't give a shit what they smell.
Yes.
Distract me. All you got to do is distract us, Well, he had the damn bright idea. He wanted to use rubbing alcohol, and he did.
Oh.
Which would dry soon anyway.
It looked like hamburger meat for, I don't know, probably a month. The doctor was scared we weren't even going to be able to save it. I mean, I got through it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So Wendell, talk a little bit about, you talked a little bit about working with Dutch there. You did a program for the international belt. You know, y'all had some different gimmick matches, and then you eventually won the belt. Can you tell us just tell us about some of those matches and working with Dutch?
Dutch was another one of those, man, that really had a great mind for the business. He was very quick-witted, very smart, little snug, because he couldn't see mainly when he pulled his glasses off. So a lot of taters every night, but it wasn't nothing personal.
Idaho.
We kind of, I don't know, his style and my style in the ring, I like to be rough and rugged, basically, as he did. It just clashed. And he was so good on the mic. And the gimmick matches are what they were, you know. Those were like a night off when you get one of those. You can milk so much out of it.
Right.
It kind of fit both of our styles. It's one of the best I ever got in the ring with. For him never to ever ascended any higher than he did, other than just a territory guy. I think he made his most money when he became a manager, actually.
I've heard it's when he became a podcaster, actually. So,
I mean, a super duper, just good guy, man, and hard worker.
Yeah.
And very smart about the business. I mean, unreal.
Forgot more than most know, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So then after about a month, they have you drop the belt to Abdul Gaddafi. And, it didn't seem like much of a build-up, and then you were gone from the territory.
That was on my way out. I had turned in my notice.
Okay.
I had turned in my notice. I told Jerry I had some personal stuff I needed to get home, take care of, having some marital issues and some other things going on. He was the first one to drop it, too, I guess. They were trying to push him a little bit.
Yeah.
But actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I dropped it in Nashville to Pat Rose.
Nice.
That's as a spur of the moment deal. And then he may have dropped it to Abdul Gaddafi or whatever, but that is my recollection of dropping the belt.
Yeah.
Because,
okay.
We love Pat.
It done pretty,
yeah.
It's kind of a spur of the moment deal,
Hey, Wendell, I probably know how they did this because I've seen it done several times through the years. That Memphis TV, they got the hour and 30. The other towns got the hour, so they probably dropped it. You probably dropped it to Pat Rose, and then on the extra 30 in Memphis, they probably said that Abdul beat you in such and such town for the belt. That's probably how that came about.
They probably could have. I'm not really sure, but the recollection I have is I dropped it to Pat Rose in Nashville at a house show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen, because that 30 minutes that extra Memphis had, I've seen some through the years doing tape trading and all that stuff. It had a lot of stuff that I grew up in Nashville, and I would see, and I was like, well, hey, that's different from what we saw on our TV, after all these years later when I, see that, the tape's floating around with the extra 30 minutes, it's like, well, that didn't how it happened, So that's probably what it did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I just don't recall it. I do recall dropping it to Pat.
I believe you.
In Nashville.
We like Pat. We'll go with Pat. I'm with you, Wendell. So,
yeah.
So in mid-March of '86, you were back in Fuller's Continental, and they actually immediately put the Southeastern title on you and put you in that 5-month feud you were talking about with Adrian Street. So obviously, anytime we talk about Adrian, I'm all ears. So I'm going to shut up now. But any good stories about working with Cousin Adrian during that time?
Yeah. When I got the call, I had came back home. My agent had been, been working on getting me back home because that's where I really wanted to be all along. But you can't start in your own home and, learn the craft and get beat up and build. You just, it kills your credibility. So when you leave, go learn something and build a name for yourself. When you come back, now you're more, more quality, more reputable and believable, or whatever the words are.
Sure.
So, when I came back, they had been working Adrian with Norvell Austin, and that gimmick they never really could get anything going. So in honesty, I was not brought in to be the top guy.
Gotcha. Okay. I
really weren't. I was brought in to be a opener or a mid-card at best, somebody different, because Austin Idol had just left. The Bullet had been there forever. They had no other big baby faces there. Tommy and Johnny were a tag team. So, and, Brad was in and out, going to Atlanta and then back and whatever, but they were looking for something. So I guess they were going to give me the opportunity to see if I could prove myself. Lo and behold, working with Adrian, I'm going to be the first to tell you I was very earned how it was going to go, trying to work with that gimmick.
Yeah, right, right, of course, yeah.
Keep him hot and strong. So he hit it off the very first time we ever crawled in the ring. Adrian, being the veteran that he was, knew the business, don't get me wrong. He such a flamboyant gimmick. He weren't that great on the mic, but
he almost didn't need the mic.
Yeah,
right.
He didn't have to talk a lot. It was just the whole persona that he had, and then I was 100% the other side, the all-American kid, blah and whatever. It just somehow flipped.
Yeah.
We worked together 4, 5, 6 months every night of the week. Never had to say a single word in the ring. All we knew was what the finish was going to be.
Wow.
We just added everything we ever done. And Linda was such a huge part of that because we always involved her in it was freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt. Do yourselves a favor out there in listener land. Go find as many of these matches as you can and watch them. They are pure, absolute entertainment of the highest form.
Hey, Wendell, I got a question. Okay, during this angle with you and Adrian, were you the one they brought Mad Maxine in? Was that with you?
No, I think that was when he and I had already finished, and he was working with Terry Garvin.
Mm.
Yeah, Terry. I think he used the name Terry Garvin, a cousin to Jimmy Garvin, with the big hair and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's after that I had broke off from Adrian and already worked a program with Chris Colt, I think was the very next one he brought in, and that didn't go far. I think we were only together like maybe a month. We brought in Terry Garvin, who was basically enhancement talent for Memphis. They brought him in, and he was not a bad worker at all. And he was doing the sissy gimmick shit, too, so they were trying to put the two of them together as a clash and try to turn Adrian babyface.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
This is your rock star ring announcer, Aaron Camaro. I'm a man who believes the two greatest art forms ever created are professional wrestling and heavy rock music. So when I'm not hosting the best parties that also happen to be live professional wrestling shows, I'm hosting the Decibel Geek Podcast. Decibel Geek is a weekly podcast that features discussions of all things rock, We're talking the Beatles, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Black Sabbath, Kiss, Ozzy, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Alice in Chains, Pantera, and everything in between. Plus, we'll turn you on to new bands from today that have the same spirit and style that the legends do. Decibel Geek is hosted by myself along with Rockin' Pod founder Chris Sinzak, and each week you'll get interviews with famous musicians and industry insiders, along with informative, entertaining, humorous, and insightful discussions, and most importantly, a passion for the music. So if you love to rock out as much as I do, then this is your invitation to the greatest rock and roll party in all of podcasting. It's Decibel Geek, and it's available right now on all major podcast platforms. Oh yeah!
Well, I did notice in September of '86, they put the Alabama title on you. And in October, you started a program with one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I've seen him wrestle a million times, but Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony. It lasted over a month and a half, and you all kept swapping the titles back and forth and stuff. But any stories about working with Tony at that time?
Tony was a night off.
Yeah.
You know, he and Jerry Stubbs. I worked with both of them.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't get to work long programs, and I don't know why, what the situation was. I really don't. But, yeah, it was like a night off working with those guys.
Yeah.
And I guess because that looking back, they were struggling to get that top baby face, you know.
Yeah.
So
got it.
Those
That makes
guys
sense.
there were had been there, done that. They were, you know, mid-card kind of things.
Yeah.
They had other plans, I guess, for me because we were in Birmingham doing TV. Ron's wife, Sherry, who always showed up with the briefcase full of money to pay everybody, called me into the dressing room, said, I need to talk to you a minute. Okay. What's on your mind? I said, well, how are things going? I don't know what to really think. You know, I don't know if I'm fixing to get a notice, if I'm going to get my ass kicked out, or what the hell. So trying to fish her for information before I speak too much. I guess things are okay. And then we talked on a little bit. I said, well, I don't know. I think maybe a couple payoffs were a little slack. But okay, all right. So that was that. Very next week, Ron showed up. I thought, oh, hell, you know, I done got myself in a bind right here. So he called me in to one of the dressing rooms and said, I need to talk to you a minute. So, okay. So we went in there, and first thing out of his mouth, he said, how's things going? Things are going okay, boss. You know? I'm all right. He said, no, I really mean it. How are things going? What are you thinking? How are you feeling? I said, well, told Sherry last week that I thought maybe a couple payoffs were a little bit slack, but other than that, I'm happy to be at home, happy to be working. He said, well, let me tell you what, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. He said, you are my money man.
That's awesome.
I need you to be happy.
Yeah.
I need you to be happy. So, well, guess what I started doing? Well, guess what, boss? I need this and that, this, and blah, blah, blah. No, I didn't really, but I think that's the biggest thing. They were searching for that guy
right.
so long, and I was the closest thing that could fit that bill.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know why, and I don't to this day, how things caught on so quick, so big, so fast. And I was able to achieve everything I wanted to achieve in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. Right time, right place, perfect timing. Just all that.
It had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's probably why I didn't get to work many more programs with Tony and Jerry. They were trying to really, push me to the top.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, I mean, they had the bullet, but he had been there for 8 or 10 years already, you know. He'd been heel babyface.
Yeah.
You know, they just needed that guy.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Wendell. You mentioned his name a second ago. In December of '86, you started that program with Chris Colt that lasted around 3 months. And I looked at all the results, and y'all worked all kinds of gimmick matches. And it ended with a loser leave town, and he left. Chris Colt is just, you know, through the years, everything, you know, I've read and seen, everybody talks about, he's just a real interesting character in the wrestling business. And he kind of, and also I know he didn't fit that Continental mode of a wrestler. He seemed really odd down there.
Detroit, Portland, somewhere like that made sense, but
he just, I don't know.
I think he spent the majority of his career in Canada and the Northwest, Oregon,
right,
that area there. So, and I know he probably had a couple good runs in his career, but when he got to Continental, he just didn't clash and fit.
Yeah.
He was not that big of a guy either, you know?
Yeah, he was small.
He was small in stature. He just weren't that, you know, intimidating style of wrestling was not, you know, what the South really was into at that time.
And also, they made him a German because he was Chris Von Colt. They made him a German, so I didn't understand that either.
Yeah. That didn't click very well. I mean, you know, but we tried it. We had some great matches. He was easy to work with. He just weren't that. He weren't that guy that they needed, I guess.
Yeah.
In that situation.
We didn't get Continental here in Nashville growing up, so I didn't really get into Continental until 90s tape train days. And then when I saw that I didn't know he ever worked there, and just all the Continental that I was seeing, I was like, man, that just didn't. He stuck. He said like a sore thumb, you know. I didn't understand. Yeah, I guess they were trying something new, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I saw some of the matches; they were good. It just his weight went up and down through the years. Running Continental, he was really small. I don't know if it was from. I don't mean talk bad about no, but anyway, it's public. You know that he was on heroin a lot.
Some maybe some extracurricular stuff that was going on. I don't think that they really. I don't think, you know, the promotion really had a lot of confidence in him. Maybe just brought him in just because we had a lull going on, because Adrian and I had just finished our program, and they were just looking for anything to see if it would click. And we had, like I said, had some good matches, but it just weren't, you know, it weren't nothing you could really hang your hat on.
Okay. Well, this next question, when I saw this, I was really wanting to ask you this. In June of '87, you worked a couple matches with Nick Bockwinkel. I know those had to be good matches because, I mean, it's Nick Bockwinkel, but what was your memories of those matches and how'd they go? How'd you like it?
Originally, it was supposed to be, when they first booked it, of course, you know how things go. Nick was the AWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Mm-hmm.
They were bringing him in to give me a shot at the AWA champion. As fate would have it, he dropped it to Kurt Hennig the week prior to him getting there. So still, with that being said, that's probably one of the most learning experiences I ever had. One of the smoothest, easiest 48, 49, 50-minute matches I ever had in my life versus the player, you know. It's wide open with Bockwinkel. When I first met him, we were in Knoxville at the Coliseum there, one of our big major markets. I went into the dressing room, as should, introduce yourself to the veterans, you know, whatever. But I said, is there anything specific you'd like to do, sir? The kid will just play it by ear. Okay. Well, he was doing the job for me anyway, so we worked an arm bar for 45 minutes. Never broke a sweat. never broke a sweat, and had them on their freaking feet 45 minutes. I'm not kidding. One of the most learning, because sometimes less is more, you know?
Yep.
And it was just the way we did it and what we did from that. It kept everybody in awe. Yeah, it was freaking phenomenal.
Wow.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I was, you know, at that time period, he had to be in his late 40s. But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was towards the end of his career at that time. He probably only went another 3 or 4 years, probably top. Because, you know, he was a Vern Gagne man.
Yeah.
Vern's place folded up. Dent's got what was left of it. So, but yes, he could still freaking go. And
yeah.
Still very agile and very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most knowledgeable I've ever been in the ring with.
Wow.
He didn't waste any effort unnecessarily.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays you see people go out there and do 45 high spots in 10 minutes. We might have done 3 at 45 and brought the house down when time came.
Oh, yeah. Yep. All right, this next question, I still really I've never understood it, why they did this, but in late August of that year, they turned you heel. Whose idea was that, and was it supposed to last longer than the month that it did?
Well, I knew that you were going to ask that at some point because you know what? That was the biggest flop that has ever happened. It was a spur of the moment. We had never talked about it, but I had been through everybody as a babyface. So normally, when you got a top babyface, he's just been running. All of a sudden, to get more life and more interest, you turn them heel.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Lawler did it 40 times in Memphis.
Sure did.
You know, Ron and Robert Fuller and the Bullet did it 15 times here in Continental.
Yeah.
But we show up to do TV in Birmingham on a Monday night, and they said, we're going to turn you heel tonight. Okay, well, I'd never been a heel. So I thought, well, that'd be kind of fun. So, yeah, we'll try it. And we did it. And it went over like a freaking flop. I didn't know how to be a heel, number one. And number two, it weren't very well planned and thought out. So there was no top big baby face there for me to work with. Okay, we had Danny Davis. Danny Davis was 5'7", 185 pounds.
Right.
I mean, seriously, and nothing, don't take nothing away from him because he was a hell of a worker.
Right,
Great
right.
talent.
Yeah.
But he was more in the tag situation or in a junior title situation. You know what I mean? I'm their top guy there for a year and a half or whatever it was, you know, taking on everybody, and then you're going to turn me heel and put me with Danny. It just, the fans just didn't buy it.
Yeah.
So it was an immediate, oh, God, we have screwed up here. How can we fix it? Dutch Mantel came up with the way that we did it, turned me back babyface. You know, I just walked out to the ring in Montgomery one night on TV, dropped the belt on the floor in front of Danny's feet and said, here, you probably deserve it more than I am. I'm done. I'm out of here. And I left for 2 weeks, you know.
Yeah.
Come back in for a hood. I saw
it was a big flop.
I saw where it said you came back and teamed with Danny Davis, but you had a hood on. Was that right?
Well, I came back. I was fully dressed in full leotards, a whole top, and a mask. So because I got tattoos, you know. And
yeah.
We had to cover everything. So what happened was they had a tag match, and the guy that was in the tag match, we had 2 outfits that matched. He got hurt, and they brought him back to the back, okay, during the match and left his partner out there by himself, which was Danny. So I showed back up in the same exact outfit, And then Danny gave me the big hot tag, and I made the big comeback. We beat Robert and Jimmy. And Danny would, if you'll pull it up, watch it, Danny was happy, and we were celebrating. And I said, hold on, wait a minute. So then I pulled the mask off, And then he went, oh, my God, no. Because Danny was the one I turned on.
Yeah.
And they turned me. So that's how they turned me back babyface. And immediately we run 2 or 3 weeks there of us in a tag match, and they put me right back as a single, So anyhow, it was a big flop. It didn't go anywhere.
Okay, so when they turned you back and everything, did the fans come back and support you, or was there some that just didn't buy it and didn't come back? You know what I'm saying? Did they turn?
Personally, I couldn't tell a difference.
Okay.
Because my gimmick sales didn't drop.
Oh, that's the key right there. That's what I wanted to know. If the gimmick's still sold, and okay, that's the key to it right there. If your gimmick stayed the same, they still love it.
They didn't drop it all, so it either tells me that Danny weren't that over as a babyface in that position, or that they didn't give a shit what I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just didn't click. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I didn't feel good about it, but we tried it.
Wow. All right, this next question I've always wondered, because they did this in the Memphis territory the year after this happened. In December of '87, they did the mink coat tournament, and you won the mink coat tournament. Okay, they did it in Nashville too on Christmas night of '88. They did the exact same thing. Was the mink coat giveaway a work, or did they really, or did they give away a real fur?
No, it was a real mink coat, but it was damn sure a work. Well, because when we went down, we'd all go out and draw names of the lucky person who, because people put their names in a box, and they put who they thought would win the match or the coat. So anyway, I ended up winning the match, and I gave the coat to the person they told me, no matter what ticket I drew, this is the name you're going to call out. So I call out this particular lady, bam, and she stands up, we recognize her, and then when the matches are all over and I win the mink coat, I give it to that lady. So she ends up giving it back to them after the show's over there.
Who was she? Who was she? Was she like somebody, one of the boys' wives or girlfriends? Who was she?
She was most of the time it was someone affiliated with Ron or Robert or somebody.
Okay.
Family member or someone that didn't hang around the matches a lot or something.
Okay.
But, it was a work.
Okay. I've always wondered about that. They did it nice too.
Definitely a work.
Wow. Okay.
But it drew good.
Yeah.
It drew. I won several of them damn mink coats. If I had them right now, I'd sell
them. All right. So in April of '88, you have a loser leaves town match and you lose it. Was David Wood's ownership of Continental the reason you left?
Yeah, but I didn't have a loser leave.
Okay.
When I left Continental, Eddie Gilbert had taken over the book. Ron Fuller had went to Knoxville and started USA.
Right.
After he sold out to David Wood. And I had gotten hurt, and after David had bought the territory, I'd blown out my knee, and I was out for 4 weeks. We had an issue about how I was going to get paid. Well, he didn't want to pay me nothing but peanuts while I was hurt. I said, bullshit. I said, I don't expect to get the top dollar that we're making because I'm not actually working, but peanuts, that ain't going to fly. So anyway, we agreed on a set deal. Eddie came in to take the books over, and I knew what was going to happen. I was going to get pushed down the card, So I called Ron up and said, Ron, you got any spots available? He said, well, I'm not supposed to take any of David's talent. I said, well, what if I quit? Different story. I said, okay, well, consider me quit. I'm done. When do you want me to start? So that's kind of how that went about. But I never did a loser leave.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, okay, Wendell, on that, in this, okay, now what you say, I believe, because the match listing was odd. It was a loser leave town. It was you, Tracy Smothers, and Steve Armstrong. On the match said that y'all three lost, and I thought that was odd. So now that makes it was. I guess it's just one of those things that get made up through the years, and it never happened.
Well, they had to cover it,
right?
Because I ended up just quitting and leaving.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about going to work for the Fullers there in Knoxville. That's that same month and year. Just tell us a little bit about working there, and did you stay until the end there, or?
Well, no, actually, I left about a month before that they actually shut the door. I was there, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, whatever it lasted. I thought it would end up doing better than it did. I don't know why it didn't. We had decent talent there. Bill Dundee was booking. We had myself, Johnny Rich, we had the Bullet, Scott, Johnny, and Davey Rich. Buddy Landell was there. Doug Furnace was there. Austin Idle came in to work a few shows. We had Ron and Don Wright, which were legendary guys from that era.
Stomper was there.
Yes, Stomper was there. I don't know why it didn't do any better. I really don't. There were some hard trips, though, in some towns we were running out of there. But I worked the program with Buddy when it was about to wind down again, having some marital, personal issues at home, and I turned in my nose. I was living in Birmingham at the time and ended up going back home. And at that point, I pretty much was done with wrestling, wasn't nowhere else to go except WCW, but they were full. You know what I mean?
Right.
We had all the guys there, Sting and Luger, the Steiners, and, everybody that was anybody was there at the time. So I said, you know what? Yeah. And Watts was booking.
Right. Watts had just closed and Watts is there. Exactly. Yeah.
And I didn't get along with Watts at all.
Right. So I was going to,
Yeah, I kind of decided it was about time for me to go find something else to do. And I took a hiatus for a little while after that. They started up Smoky Mountain. I didn't go to work for Smoky Mountain after that happened. And my next venture was my old buddy Frankie the Thumper Lancaster called me and asked me if I'd be interested in going to work in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I said, well, if the money is good, I'll go. But if not, I ain't going. Said, let me see what I can do. So he talked to Carlos and got us a big guarantee, and we went to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
We were there probably 8, 9, 10 months, something like that.
Yeah, you're talking about your run in Puerto Rico in August of 91. So you all had a good 7-month run there as the Heartbreakers, Adonis and Apollo. Whose idea was it to change your names?
That was my idea.
Oh, okay.
The whole gimmick.
Gotcha. Okay.
I had never been a heel, and that's what we were going to do. I had done that little 1-month deal.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if we're going to be the Heartbreakers, let's don't be Wendell Cooley and Frankie Lancaster. So I came up with Apollo and Adonis. And actually, it got over. It really did. The territory was struggling a little bit in some places. Other places were really good. But Puerto Rico is one of those places where, the big guys and the big talent would come in and stay 2 or 3 months and leave. They just weren't going to stay and, be a part of the program for any long length of time. So anyhow, we had a great run, and I did it mainly because I really didn't want to go. I was really pretty much done with the business.
Right.
I was going to, just get me a job and become a regular human being and whatever. But my buddy Frankie had never got a big push, and I just loved being around him. You know, we were great friends. So I thought, well, let's go give it a try. And we did, and we got over. But, you know, that weren't my kind of lifestyle over there on that island.
Yeah.
Nothing there was interesting to me. I was bored to freaking death when we weren't working.
Right.
I was hanging out in the casino every day.
Yeah.
You know, just somewhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was not a big beach guy. I didn't want to hang out and lay around on the beach all the time. I get up every morning, have breakfast, go to the gym, get my workout in, and then I was bored. You know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that makes sense. You can only take so much beach and gym time in before you're twiddling your thumbs.
It was just not me. I mean, I love Carlos Colon to death. He treated me great, took care of me. The Invader, you know.
Right,
you
right.
all know the story with him.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He thought I was the greatest thing. Worked a lot of matches with him, and Dick Murdoch came in to take the book, and Dick and I didn't get along at all. One of the biggest reasons is because I wouldn't hang out with him and go out drinking and all that bullshit every night. You know, it just weren't me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, I understand.
Frankie and I had gotten in a car wreck, you know, because you got to rely on the locals to get you to and from because you don't have a vehicle.
Yeah, no kidding.
Traveled all these towns, so we had a local guy there that took us to the towns most of the time. We were going to a show one night. We were in a small little Honda Civic, and we ended up broadsiding a damn a big old freaking Bonneville deuce and a quarter or something. I don't know, a big damn car running about 60. And it run me through the windshield. It cut me up really bad.
Man.
So anyway, after I got to the hospital and they got me took care of and this and that, we caught a ride to the matches, and the matches were getting close to being over. So when we showed up, Murdoch said, "Where the hell y'all been?" You know, I'm all bandaged up and all this bull crap. And anyway, the next night, he wanted me to wrestle. I said, "There ain't no freaking way, dude. It ain't happening. Not a chance of me gonna crawl in that ring with all these freaking, I don't know how many stitches I had, 100 something, I don't know. Want me to get in the, there ain't no freaking chance in hell I'm gonna do it, bro. Number one,
no doubt.
I don't want to hurt myself. And number two, I don't want to get no staph infection bullshit in dirty ring."
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Mats down there are awful.
Yeah.
Dude, it was terrible down there.
Man.
We had a falling out there. After I did finally get well, a couple weeks, we were struggling trying to find a ride to a town, and we showed up late. Made a comment about that.
Yeah, right.
When I told Frankie, I said, "You know what, Frankie?" I said, "I know you're loving it down here, bro, and you're having a great time, but I'm done with it."
Yeah.
So I ended up leaving down there.
Yeah.
So we're going to back up a little bit. I'm going over here to 93. In early 93, Austin Idol opened up USA Wrestling in the old Continental territory. He brought you in and teamed you up with Steve Armstrong as the Bama Bucks. Whose idea was that? And you got any stories about that short-lived promotion?
Well, I can tell you this, from the get, it was all built around Austin Idol.
Oh.
Yeah, oh, definitely. You watch the TV, and you can tell that.
Well, he was kind of at the end of his career.
Right.
I think that he really missed the boat by not letting me be a single. I had never done much tag stuff. And
do you think that was purposeful, though? If he's the top guy? Okay.
He didn't want to be outshone and outdone.
Right.
Because when he left Continental early in '86, they brought me in, and I kind of ascended very quick to the top.
Gotcha.
And I think he just didn't want the competition. He wanted to be the man, and it just didn't fly.
Right. Yeah.
I think it was just all about him getting what he could get, out of his investors as much as he could get. But if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. But it did not.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
Yeah, I think it lasted 3 months, I think.
Yes, max. Yeah.
Well, Wendell, man, this has been incredible. I woke up today and I said, we have Wildcat Wendell Cooley on the podcast today, guys. I've been so extremely excited to talk to you. So I greatly appreciate you spending your time with us and telling us your story like this. So like you've kind of talked about, you said you went into the government and after wrestling, you kind of, when you wrapped up your career and stuff. But one thing I want to talk about that I'm fascinated by, and I'm a big fan of you actually, is your karaoke singing, man. I got to say this. So I'm not a singer. I'm a bassist. I'm a guitarist. I can play a few other instrument things, but I'm not a singer. So I'm always impressed by those who can. So I guess let me say this. What is your go-to karaoke song?
My go-to anything with karaoke is something with George Jones.
Oh, the best. He's the best.
Man.
The greatest of all time.
I'm telling you, I really am. I am traditional country to the bone.
Yeah.
However, I will try a couple other type stuff, but I have just put a band together in the last couple months.
Awesome.
Yes. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in my, I don't know what you'd call it. I got a huge shop here at my house. You've probably seen the pictures.
Yeah.
My buddy and I, Turbo Ted McIrvin,
Mm-hmm.
who was a former wrestler.
Yes,
Worked for WOW back in the day with Rip Tyler and that bunch.
Sure did. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, he's sitting here. Say hello to Ted.
Hey, Ted, how's it going, buddy?
All right.
When can we get you on here, brother?
I don't know. Anytime you want him, he's dying to say his piece.
Okay. Coming soon.
W. I've loved that so much. Oh, man. He was part of the bomb squad.
I helped start WOW. So we started it up as a wrestling. He and Gino Sanazaro, which was Plastic. Him and I started it up, and then I mentioned matches, tape them, start what we did. And that's where we Bob Holly at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've been in the business. This is 42 years now.
Yeah. So you got some stories.
Not like Wendell.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But anyway, back to the band stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a band together now. We're called Nothing Special Band.
Nice.
And, we're in my big place here right now doing this interview. All my equipment's setting up out here in front of me. But, we're getting ready to kick it off here in the next couple months and start traveling around and playing. And I'm going to start posting more stuff on my website.
Yeah. Good.
You guys can see some actual live stuff. Karaoke was a thing that I started doing because one of my dearest friends had stage 3 colon cancer, and one of his favorite pastimes was singing. So he taught me into doing karaoke with him, and it became a habit every week. And when I ended up getting remarried to this young lady I'm with now, we had this big, huge building. So my buddy Ted and I built some stuff, some backdrops and things like that, and started doing our own stuff here.
Yeah.
We're still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still doing it.
That's awesome. That's good. Well, you need to, because like I said, I am a fan of your voice. I think you got a great singing voice. I think it's cool. Well, and it's, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And the thing that I always like is to see how talented wrestlers are outside of wrestling. They have, acting, writing, singing, whatever, there's so many multiple talented guys in the wrestling business, and you're just one of them. So it's very cool to do that. Yeah. Now, we always wrap every show up with one final question, and that comes from my brother, the Plastic Sheik. Take it away, Sheik.
So, Wendell, I'm gonna assume, and maybe I'll assume wrong, but I'm gonna assume maybe one of the guys you had in your Mount Rushmore might be in this. But if you have to look back on your career and you say that was my favorite match I ever had, what would that match be?
Honestly, would be with Harley Race in his hometown in St. Louis.
Oh, man.
He was such a phenomenal gentleman, so smooth, so just everything. And he came to me that night, and I knew I was going to do the job for him. I mean, I'm in his hometown, but he said, look, kid, is there anything special that you would like to do?
Oh, my goodness.
No, sir. I said, no, sir, it's all about you tonight. So whatever you want to do, we're going to do it. That was probably one of the greatest matches of all time. There's not a lot of people out there that can say that they wrestled 3 different world champions, you know?
Yeah.
But
no joke.
But I had that blessing to do that. You know, Ric Flair, Harley Race, and at the time, Jerry Lawler was the AWA World Heavyweight Champion. And I wrestled him on numerous occasions, and Nick Bockwinkel, of course.
Yeah.
He weren't the champion at the time I wrestled him, but, you know.
He's always the champ.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, phenomenal. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I had never met Harley Race until that night, and it was just all about, you know, what do you want to do, kid? Anything special, blah, 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 whatever. No, sir, tonight, this is your hometown. Tonight, it's about you. You know, I'm all business.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that was freaking awesome.
That is amazing.
Harley's one of the best for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think I can say this without a doubt in my mind that you are our very first person to say Harley Race in their favorite match. So, Wendell, either we've climbed the ladder or you've dropped a little, but we thank you so much for coming on and talking to us, brother. Your story, I was so excited, like I said, when Shane got me your info, and we greatly appreciate that from Shane. Got me your info. I was so excited to get to talk to you because I knew not only of all my past of enjoying wrestling with me and my brother growing up, but how much Quinton was going to go crazy with this. So it's truly been an honor, sir. It really has. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys. Tell him thank you.
Wendell, we appreciate everything, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Hey, Wendell, it was good talking to you, man. And actually, it was an honor to get to interview you, brother. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, guys. God bless y'all.
You too, sir.
You too, man.
Take care.
Appreciate
you.
All right.
All right, y'all, for the Wildcat Wendell Cooley, this has been the Plastic Sheik, Adrian Street, Quinton Quarisma, the Territory Wrestling Guru, and myself. We'll be right back to wrap things up after these messages.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Boudica and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
Hi, this is Mike Needham, host of the Reckless Abandon podcast with Mike Needham. We invite you to jump on your favorite podcast platform and search for the Reckless Abandon podcast and give us a listen. I'm sometimes joined by a part-time podcaster, part-time co-host, and full-time wife, Tiffany Nicole. We talk wrestling, we talk pop culture, we talk local events, local happenings in West Tennessee, and a ton of other stuff. But be sure to check out the Reckless Abandon podcast. Find us on Facebook. Also, look up the Microgroup Podcasting family on Facebook and see some of our other podcasts we have out there. Until next time, make good choices and always remember, no dollar, no dice.
Sheik and Quinton, one more excellent conversation with the Wildcat, man. What'd y'all think about that? That was awesome.
Great stories, man. good to hear from him and hear all the tales he had. He'd been a little bit everywhere and would be here, then there, then there, then there. So he had plenty to tell.
Yeah. What do you think, Quinton?
It was really interesting. I liked it because I remember watching him growing up and actually going to the fairgrounds in Nashville and seeing him live, so that was pretty cool to actually talk to him and everything. And he definitely was a territorial guy. He worked the territories.
Yeah.
And something else I didn't mention to him, but something I remember about him mostly, he had fire. Man, he had fire.
Yeah. He was definitely that true territory babyface fire, man. He had it in spades. But yeah, well, if y'all want to keep up with us, find out about shows just like this Wildcat Wendell Cooley one. I say it always, and I'll say it again, at GMBMPW on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Guys, we are literally, as of this recording, we are 2 people away from 1,000 on YouTube. Can we get 2 people to click subscribe? That's all we need, and we're good to go. We'll shut up about it, I promise. So somebody find somebody and subscribe. 2 people, that's all we need. Now, this may be a moot point by the time it's aired, but still. What are you saying, Jared?
I was just gonna say, it reminds me of like Fletch Lives or something, where he's like the Reverend Jerry, was it Jerry Lee Farnsworth or whatever?
Yes.
Will you be the one?
Will you be the one? Step forward. Yeah. It does kind of come across that way, but whatever.
But in a good way, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Throw something in the plate too. We don't care, right, guys?
Yeah, there you go.
But seriously, we do thank y'all so much for the ones that supported. The 998, y'all are awesome in my book. So thank you so much for that. But just need 2 more. Come on, step forward, act of faith, as they say.
I was going to quote Ric Flair. You can't be first, but you can be next. So
you can be 999 or 1,000. Okay, so choose wisely. Yeah, no, but seriously, y'all, we do thank you for that. Up next, we've got somebody, and I'm just going to say, how about this? We're going to leave it a surprise, but we are on what they call a roll, y'all, and we're not going to let that roll stop. So just keep in touch with us, keep supporting, keep sharing, keep following, keep listening. That's all we care about, really. Just thank y'all so much for letting us live our little dream of podcasting out here. So, with that being said, that's all I got, guys. Y'all got anything?
I'm good, brother.
I'm good. I'm ready to head on out to the house.
All right. We'll see y'all next time on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Don't forget.
Well, may I take this opportunity right now to apologize. I had no idea that anything like this would possibly happen here.
Well, that's one of the dirtiest things I've ever seen right there, Gordon Soley. He had no business coming out here. It wasn't his time anyway. But a week ago, a lot of you people seen one of the dirtiest things that ever happened to me in my career, Gordon Soley. Chris Von Colt handcuffed me to the corner right there in that ring and beat me almost an inch of my life, Gordon. If it hadn't have been for a good friend of mine, he may have got the job done. But that was his one mistake right there. He never finished his job. And if you'd roll this piece of tape for some of the people that never seen it, we'll give them a look at it.
Well, I might just point out once again that Chris Von Colt, who stole that title, and you can see here exactly what's happening, that handcuff being put around Wendell Cooley's wrist, and he is now being fined $1,000 per day.
Well, you can see right here, Gordon, as I was coming in the ring earlier, it wasn't shown, but he hit me with his helmet in the back, and he hit me in the head with his helmet and the handcuffs too, and he's got me pretty well lacerated right there, and he's going to take upon himself to handcuff me and cuff me in that corner right there and take a beating to me with his chain.
Well, you can see here he's having his own problems even trying to get that cuff around, but he's nonetheless does get it done. And this, of course, is the beginning of a very, very sad sequence for you.
Well, that's right, Gordon, because you can see right here he beat me pretty good, and he's going to take his chain out in just a second. He's going to go to beat me with it. I can't get loose. I'm trying every way I can to bust those cuffs, but those things are made out of steel, and I'm not that strong, and nobody else I know of is strong enough to break a pair of handcuffs. But I was going to give it everything I had because I knew what his intentions was to try to put me out of professional wrestling.
Well, and of course, we just heard Jimmy Golden's retirement conversation, and we saw what happened to him just moments ago. And we're talking about this being the most dangerous sport in the world, and it obviously is.
Well, that's right. You see right here, he's going to take his sunglasses. He's going to try to take my eyesight away. Well, he didn't get the job done, Gordon. He didn't get those things dug in there like he wanted to get them dug in, because I had one hand on his, keeping him from doing what he was trying to do. But nevertheless, he handcuffed me and beat me with his chain and attempted to take my eyesight, and he will pay for every drop of blood I spilled. I'll promise you that.
Well, I can certainly understand, and you've certainly got the crowd here at Boutwell behind you all the way.
Well, I want to tell you, he came in here, he says he came in here on a mission that he didn't like the USA, he didn't like the South. Well, I don't care if he don't like the South, I don't care if he don't like the USA. I told him one time, and I'll tell him again, he can pack his bags and get out of here, because I don't like him either. Now, he says he's going to come in here and run down my country. He's not going to run down my country. I never myself personally spent any time in the service, but everybody in my family spent time in the service. Chris Von Colt, I have people that I visit in the hospitals, the VA hospitals, who's fought for our country, Chris Von Colt. I've been with the family who has lost members of their family over there fighting for our country, Chris Colt. And as far as you go, I'm going to promise you, I'm going to get my Alabama title back, and after what you've done to me, I'm going to get a lot more than just a belt back. I promise you that, and God bless America.
Well, amen to the comments made by Wildcat Wendell Cooley. He is indeed the Alabama heavyweight champion.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. This has been a James Rock Street production.